notice and putting yourself back in the mix for world level. How big is the desire to become a world champion again, would you say?
Big desire, of course. I screwed up against Dubois. I looked really bad, and I think I'm one of the best fighters out there, and I have a big. I put all my life in boxing already, 20 years in boxing, and of course I have big desire to be a world champion. And this is after that loss, this is my second attempt, and hopefully I'll do it this time, and I'll do everything what I can.
It's been over a year since the Dubois fight, a fight that you was a favourite in. How do you reflect on that night that didn't go your way?
Yeah, a lot of bad things happened before the fight. I was injured last few weeks of sparring. I was sick before the fight, and you could see that in the fight. After 6 rounds, I didn't have energy because of that illness. And I just underestimated him. I took him lightly. I thought I'm gonna destroy him, and with that illness and with that injury, and he cut me. I was cut from the first round. I had 2 big cuts on both eyes, really big and deep cuts, and blood was flowing into my eyes. So everything what could go wrong, it went wrong. So a lot of bad things happened before the fight, into the fight, and I wasn't on my level, and he did a great job, and I'm not satisfied with that outcome, and I think I'm better, and hopefully I'll get that fight again, and I'll beat him.
That's what my next question was going to be like. Is there a desire for a rematch with Dubois for yourself?
Of course. That's the fight I want the most. I want the most, and I want a rematch. And
now I'm looking for people with faces full of wrinkles. The looser the skin, the better. Look at how pronounced these wrinkles are.
And I want a rematch, and I want to come, healthy, and I want to beat him, of course. I think I can beat him.
What have you made of the criticism that Dubois faced since the Usyk fight? A lot of people saying that he quit. What have you made of all the response of the criticism that Dubois suffered as a result of his defeat to Usyk?
I don't think he quit. He just took a great shot. It was counter punch. It was really hard shot from Usyk, and he couldn't continue. And not only that, he was outboxed, outclassed. He probably felt, with any solution, and he just couldn't do anything. And Usyk first killed his soul. He took his soul. And then knocked him out. And it was great shot, because it was counter. And I don't think he quit. He just didn't have chance.
He just didn't have chance. Those are the words of Filip Hrgovic. And let me counterpunch. First off, he was recalling the fight he had with Danny Dubois. And I like Filip Hrgovic. I think Filip Hrgovic, despite, English being his second language, he's able to talk enough English to talk shit. He's a great promoter of a fight. Anybody with a mouthpiece that can fight is okay with me. It just has to be balanced, right? But he did say something that got my attention about his fight with Dubois. And it bothers me because I think we hear too much of, oh, well, hey, I was sick, I was injured, things didn't go my way. I think, here's my thing. We could have went without all that. That first 3 minutes of, oh, well, I was sick, I was injured, I didn't have energy because of the injury. And, I'm like, man, we don't want to hear all that, man. Those are excuses, and excuses, how I put it, are for the losers or for the people that didn't win, right? That's what it's for. I mean, we didn't need all that other extra stuff. We just should have heard, like, look, it didn't go my way. Murphy's Law, what could go wrong did go wrong. That's what happened. I want the rematch, though. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't, the cuts, okay, I get the cuts. The cuts made sense because the cuts had nothing to do with him. The cuts had everything to do with the fight itself, right? So that's that with as far as the cuts go. Now, I can understand him talk about the cuts, and I think these fighters, I don't know if like they're prone or coached to say certain things about fights, or, hey man, if they ask you this, say this, or if they ask you that, say this, and all this, that, and the other. But I do think that was just unnecessary. And too many fighters do that, and that's really like, look, stop. You know what I mean? We don't need to hear that. But I will say this. Moving on with Filip Hrgovic, he does want an opportunity to fight Danny Dubois, and I think that would actually be a good fight. I think that would be a good fight. I think it would be a good comeback fight for Danny Dubois. Either Hrgovic or Joe Joyce would be good for Daniel, because Daniel then can at least be moving towards a direction, to better himself mentally. You know what I mean? Get a win under his belt, but at the same time, avenge your first loss, because this is his third loss, and then this is his second loss to the same guy, Usyk, which that's not going to happen. So at least you can get one of those avengements, right? Joe Joyce. And, Joe Joyce will fight anybody at this point. You know what I mean? Garbage men, top guys, bottom guys, whichever, you know what I mean? He'll fight whoever. But Big Hrgovic took it away. Usyk took his soul. He took his soul. And it's crazy. He said, well, nothing happened. And the surprising thing, he did say he didn't quit, so, you're looking at it like, oh, okay, all right, he didn't quit. But then it's like, all right, he just got caught with a shot. Nothing happened, and nothing was happening for him anyway. So Hrgovic's looking at it like, dude, that was just a slaughter with nothing, working for him. And Usyk took his soul, and he got caught with a counter. And that's something I think people are overlooking, that the punch that Danny Dubois got caught with, the reason he didn't see it, because it was a counter punch, people. Counter punches are the worst punches to get hit with, because you don't anticipate. You can't prepare for a counter punch. You see what I mean? Hell, Joe Joyce got caught with a counter punch. He didn't see that shot with Zane. Boom! No, he didn't see that. He just got caught with it. Maybe if he saw it and anticipated it happening, he could prepare for it. But you can't be prepared for a punch you don't see. And that's what happened to Danny Dubois, according to Filip Hrgovic, which I think is deemed to be true. But it is surprising from Hrgovic to say that, because Hrgovic is always the first person to talk shit at him. Normally Hrgovic, he quit, man. Like I said, he had no balls. And if I was not injured, I would have took him, because I know he had muscles, but he had no balls. He was going in that direction, man. I would have beat him senseless. He would have took the same knee, and that's why they call him triple knee, because he has no balls. But I was injured and things weren't going my way, so that is what happened. But Usyk beat him and took his soul. Yeah, man. But no, it wasn't like that. But you thought that you would have this breakdown of Hrgovic saying something in those, or in that ballpark, right? But you didn't. He was like, no, he didn't quit. And then that was a surprise, especially losing to Danny Dubois. So if anything, I think Filip was being modest on the situation, because since he did bring up the injury bid, or I was injured and all that, and all this. He could have used that and could have went in that direction, but he did not. So that was very impressive and surprising from Filip Hrgovic. But you guys tell me what you think of Hrgovic wanting the rematch against Danny Dubois, saying that Oleksandr Usyk, I am very feel, took his soul in the ring. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!